will now call the August 17th meeting of the Sports Authority to order. We are happy to have with us once again Councilman Withers. It's good to be finally back in Bellevue. It's hard to believe that the last time we were here was December of 2019, just a couple of months after the building opened. So we are so happy to be back today. As always, we appreciate the Nashville Predators' hospitality, and we look forward to hearing from the Fordyce Center report later in the meeting. And speaking of the Predators, we want to congratulate them on receiving one of Nashville Business Journal's Leaders in Diversity Awards. They were named Outstanding Diverse Organization, Giant Private Company. I think that deserves a round of applause. Congratulations. Also, I'd like to recognize Lindsay Paola. I think she's here this morning. Lindsay, good morning. Who was promoted from Club Chief of Staff to COO. Congratulations, Lindsay. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Ron Gobble and Katie Sheasley from GHP to present the 2023 Urban Land Institute Nashville Award. Y'all want to say anything? Thank you. We've already taken our pictures. Thank you so much. Would you all like to say anything about the award?
All I wanted to say was ULI is a worldwide organization, and for us to win that award, or you all to win that award, judges came in from across the country. So it's really an honor for Geodis Park and Fairgrounds.
Thank you. Clearly, this award is a result of a lot of hard work and collaboration amongst a lot of folks. Thank you for all that you do. I'd also like to thank our Vice Chair, Frank Harrison, who represented us at that event. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Next, the Sports Authority's public comment policy invites up to 10 guests who have signed up for at least 48 hours in advance to speak for no more than 2 minutes in support or opposition to any agenda item the board will be voting on. Since no one signed up for that public comment, we will move to our next agenda item, which is the minutes from the July 20th, 2023 meeting. You should have received those. Are there any questions or comments? Motion to approve. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you. Now we will hear from our executive for her report. Monica?
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all as usual. You have the agenda in front of you. This is a relatively short agenda, or at least by our standards. The two action items that the board is going to consider today are critical, and they are also conditions for issuing the bonds. This is the stadium revenue bonds. So the board's going to vote on the architect of record agreement between Stadco and TVS. And then they will also, y'all will consider the stadium's or Stadco's selection of construction manager. So there's been a lot of conversation about both of this, and so we'll have a chance to ask any final questions and vote on that this morning. Are there any questions about the agenda? Okay. I also want to call to your attention this booklet in front of you. It's called the East Bank Smart Growth Reconnecting Nashville, and the mayor's office requested that we distribute it to each of you. So when you have an opportunity, you can look through that. There's a lot of great information contained inside. Also, the finance department is working hard as we press towards the bond closing on Monday. And it's, as you can imagine, a mind-boggling amount of work, and they really have done, I think, a phenomenal job, and just really grateful for the work they've done and getting us to this point. I think today they're bidding on the escrow for defeasance. So they're just working hard. But Monday, is the closing, and we will continue to press forward. Finally, last week I had a great time speaking to the Donaldson Hermitage Chamber of Commerce about the Sports Authority and the work that we're doing in tandem with all of our partners. And I received a really nice note from one of the members, and she said, I'm not really a sports person. I always thought the Sports Authority and the Sports Council were the same thing, but I learned a lot. This is really interesting. And I think for me, it was just a great reminder of the importance of educating the community. And so I just would encourage you all as you're out and you have opportunities to talk about the role of the Sports Authority that you do that. I think it's really, really helpful and really important. Are there any questions for me? If not, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we will consider approval of a resolution authorizing and approving an agreement between Tennessee Stadium LLC and Thompson Venturette Steinbach and Associates Incorporated. We will refer to TVS for architectural and engineering services. So at this time, we would like to invite the representatives from the Titans who will walk the board through the highlights of this agreement. For the benefit of our visitors, please state your name and title. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Dan Worley, Chief Operating Officer for the Tennessee Titans and Nissan Stadium.
Don Harden Group, consultant with the Titans.
Good morning, Kellen DeCourcy, Project Executive with the Tennessee Titans.
So we have some slides to go through. We're excited to be here, so thanks for having us. If you'll recall, we were here, I think it was in May, to talk about the selection of TVS as the architect of record. And so as part 2 of that process, we've been busy kind of behind the scenes working out and ironing out an agreement with them. And so we're here today to present you with that agreement. I believe you guys should have that agreement in your packet and received it. There was a couple updated exhibits over the last few days that should be towards the end of your packet as well. So my goal here is to give you as good of an overview as I can, but obviously we're not going to get into every little detail. But if there's any questions you have, feel free to interrupt me or just let us know whenever. So if we go to the next slide.
I want to say, too, if you're looking for the actual agreement, it's in the back pocket of your binders.
So, as I mentioned, we introduced TVS to y'all back in May and have been working on the contract. We're required, pursuant to the Stadium Development Agreement, to go through a 2-step process. So for the architect of record today, we're in step 2 of that process. Step 1 was getting kind of general approval of the consultant, and step 2 is getting approval of the agreement itself. And so when we talk about the construction manager layer today, that'll be in step 1, and we'll talk about that. But for right now, we're really just thinking about the contract itself, and so we'll go through that. So if you want to go to the next slide. So if you notice at the top in the heading of each of the slides, they reference a part of the contract where I'm going to be talking about, but I thought it'd be a good place to start with the services provided and actually what's going on with this contract. So TVS, as architect of record, has agreed to provide all the design documents needed in order to build the stadium. And those are broken down into the bullet points on the slide, which I think there's about 8 or 9 of those. And so that makes up all of Article 4. And that's really what we're asking them to do, is to come to us and have the final documents for all of these various types of the stadium. And if you go to Article 4 and look, within each of these bullet points, there's about 10 to 15 more bullet points of things that they're required to do. So it's a really heavy lift on their part. It's a one-of-a-kind complex building that requires a lot of different specialties. Am I not catching up to me? Thanks, Don. And so it requires not only TVS, but we'll get into a big sub-consultant group as well. They're specialists. You go to the next one. I think something that was really important to us was really understanding who the people, not just the name of the company, but who the people were going to be working on this project. And so in the contract, we literally list out the exact people from TVS, and some of them are right behind you in section 3.9. And again, if you're in the industry, you may recognize some of these names. It's a really impressive group. We've had the chance to kind of get to know them over the last month or two, and they've been really impressive. So we're really excited to have them as part of the team. And then in addition, in section 3, obviously things happen. These people are committed to us, but if they end up leaving, there's some processes in place for us to be able to replace them and make sure that we're not missing a step. Go to the next one. So through all of these processes, we're trying to be as intentional as we possibly can on DBE, on local participation, and everything else. What is in the contract itself, which is section 3.16.2, is the actual requirements, which are that TVS makes a good faith effort to maximize DBE participation, that they work with the BAO office to determine goals, and that they make monthly reports that show their progress. I think as we sit here today, I think we're in a really good spot with them. I'm kind of new. My background is in the legal field, so I'm a little bit new to this whole construction thing. But what I've learned through the process is that this component of the stadium deal, typically is somewhere where it's a little bit more of a challenge to find those DBEs to be able to come in and to get those good percentages. But we're really happy to report that we're working through a little bit of some final certifications, but we think it's going to be greater than 28%. And so I feel really good about that. And we're again working with the BAO office to get there. And in addition to that, on the local side, we're looking at about 40% local, which is a really great number, we think, too. To the next one. So here's just a breakdown, and Exhibit D has a little bit more detail in it. I didn't want to just copy and paste it because I tried it and it did not look great on the screen. But I tried to pull out some of the highlights. And, I think the important things to note are that we started over a year ago throughout this process with our design architect, which got us through the schematic design phase, which was completed in June. So now we're in the design development phase, is where the architect of record comes into the picture, and we'll continue working along to get to essentially completion of this process in August of next year. And really, it'll be before then, but the way the timing of the GMP works is, there's some work with the GMP in those last few months too. Next one. And finally, I think, obviously it's important to know how much these things cost. And so, again, in Exhibit K is a very detailed breakdown of the cost in each of the various sub-consultants within that as well. But here's a high-level look at it. The total is right around $42 million. Less than half of that is actually going to TVS. The vast majority of it will be going to the sub-consultants, which shows you kind of how the work will be dispersed as well. So that's all I have on the agreement, but again, happy to answer any questions or talk through any other components of it that you'd like.
Thank you. We have a question right here. Right.
Thank you, Dan. That was helpful. The under duration here, it sort of jumps out at me, construction permitting 120 days. Knowing what little I know about the permitting process, I do know that it's been taking a lot longer than that. This is a high priority project, but what happens if that pushes, and how does that trickle down to complexity for the rest of the schedule?
I'm going to let my colleague John handle that one.
Sure, and I think the point of that specific duration is a full building permit set. We have been meeting with Metro Codes to start talking about the project. We actually see this happening in a little bit of a phased approach where to get started, we actually might start with an earthwork package and foundations. So that's kind of the total of what it would take to get a full building permit. That's roughly equivalent to about those are working days. So that's about 6 months for that process, the 120 days.
And that should be ample. Thank you.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Director Gill?
My question is in reference to the DBE participation. I would like to know what the outreach method was for letting local businesses know that there might be an opportunity to participate on the stadium. How was that done?
A couple of different ways, Melvin. First of all, when the RP was administered, it was a decision made to kind of unbundle the part where the architect of record would choose their own sub-consultants without input from the Titans. And so there were efforts made to put on the Titans website. Anybody interested in the project would then go to the project. We did outreach within the community. We reached out to the BAO office. We reached out to the Nashville Black Chamber and other chambers to gain their interest, to have anybody interested to come to the website. We even made calls to certain firms to see if they would be interested. Some we know in the community, specs and also engineering companies. And some of them were really too busy, and they really, even after a couple of tries, even some of the friends and some of the folks we actually know, while it sounded good to them, they were not always interested. Then there are others who were excited to to try to have the opportunity to join the project. When TBS was close to being selected, we gave them several names of different companies that they should reach out to from every facet of design, even down to the branding. We gave them several names to reach out to. They reached out to several of them. And we're happy to say that a couple of successful people, as you guys all know, EAO was chosen, culture, architecture, community solutions by design. McCoy designed several folks who we all do business with. So that was a bit of our outreach on the architect record side. In addition to that, companies that were already doing work with Manica were novated over to work with TBS. And some of those who will continue on, like Logan Patry, they're also minority-owned business. So the workload is spread out really well amongst about 7 local minority and women-owned businesses. And as a result, we have about 7% local, minority-owned, and 14% women-owned businesses that make up some of the 28%.
How many women-owned businesses are on the list so far?
I think there are 4. I think that there are EAO, there's McCoy, there's a company that's doing the interior design, there's Hawkins Partners, and a couple others. So there are like 7.
You have
Hawkins Partners, yes, landscape.
They're down as landscape.
Correct.
But then you have EOA that's doing architecture as well as in furniture, fixture, and equipment design.
Yes, sir.
Are there other small businesses or women-owned businesses that can provide that service also?
I'm sure there are a lot of businesses that can do it, but TVS, at the end of the day, it has to be their choice as well. So while we present a lot of names for them to consider, when they sit down and negotiate their deal, we can't exactly mandate who they use. We can only present a selection of people they could consider.
How many firms submitted statements of qualifications in each of the categories that you have here?
I'm not sure of that. I can get that.
How many in terms of architecture?
In terms of architecture, I would venture to say I'm comfortable saying at least 10 firms. And some of them, TBS actually had to reach out to, not the other way around. Some of them were just not interested. They were busy. And even firms, like I said, we call friends of mine that are called twice, and they were just really busy.
What about structural?
Structural, I'm not sure about structural. What we know about structure, the structure is Logan Patriot was already selected with Walter P. Moore as their local structural consultant, and that's who they continue to use. Of course, structure is one of those specialized fields that, even with a Titan Stadium, that has a lot of complexities to them, and so everybody relied on Walter P. Moore to be the lead, which you can't argue their credibility, but they did choose Logan Patriot here locally to work with.
Will there be opportunities for other firms in each of the disciplines to participate, or is this it?
So far, this is the scope of work that they need, and it's, arguably it's a very healthy list of firms. There are somewhat 24 different scopes that TVS, a lot of it they could have done on their own, but they chose, and they heard our call to say, hey, you need to spread the love, and they actually did. So sure that there are other firms out there that can do some of the work. There may be other auxiliary things that come up around some of the buildings, but again, we can consider anything else that comes up, like smaller central plants and such that may support the building. But at this point, TVS has selected their team.
This team is it.
That team is what's presented for TVS, and if there are other opportunities, we certainly would love to hear names and love to even present them with names that even anyone. In fact, we find it very challenging to meet the goal. We know it's going to be a challenge, so we're not turning anyone away who might be interested in the opportunity. So, but for this particular scope, TVS has defined their scope of work.
I'm interested in local participation, whether it's DBE or not. And I just wanted to know if there were other opportunities out there.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. I know I made a suggestion about local firms providing quality control, quality assurance services on the project.
I don't think we've let those parts out. Those third-party opportunities may still be available.
Say that again?
The third-party opportunities that you mentioned, quality assurance, testing, those opportunities may still be available. They will not be hired by TVS. They'll be hired directly by the Titans, the third party.
As an example, mechanical engineering or structural engineering. I understand that SSR is your mechanical, electrical engineer record. There are other firms that equally qualified that could provide that service, quality assurance, quality control services that would review SSR's work. Same thing with the structural engineers' work.
Sure.
That's sure. What I'm getting
Sure,
at.
we certainly are open to, looking at other firms to do that. Of course, SSR, we love SSR, but they don't get a pass either. We want them to have diversity on their team as well. So, no one gets a pass.
Okay.
Any
That's
other?
it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Director?
I think so.
Okay, if not, we appreciate your presentation. And so if there are no further questions, I'll remind the authority that approval of this contract is a condition to issuing the bonds, and that we may not unreasonably withhold, delay, or condition approval.
Move for approval.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Any additional questions, discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay, and the motion passes. Thank you all so much for that presentation. And thank you, Director Gill, for those questions. Gave us a good understanding of DBE. Next on the agenda, we will consider approval of a resolution authorizing and approving the selection of construction manager at risk for the new NFL stadium.
Thanks. I think you're stuck with us again. If you could just skip to the next slide. So again, this is the same process. This one started a little bit later, and so we're now in step one of that process of introducing our construction manager at risk to you and asking for your approval of them. And so that requirement is housed in 7.2 of the development agreement. Next one. And here's just a little bit of a review of the procurement code. Again, what was agreed to between Metro and us was that we would run the process, but we would follow the Metro procurement code. And so it calls out a few of the specific sections and gives a little bit more detail on the slide. I would say one of the important things, and I thought was for us that were on as part of this RFP process, one of the really important things was having a great evaluation committee as part of it. And so Monica generously donated some of her time to come and be a part of that. We had a few other Metro employees that were part of it as well that work on the East Bank. We had some of our consultants who are, from CA Icon, and Don was a part of it as well, that really helped us inform this process as we went through. So we'll get into the process here in a little bit. If we can skip on to the next one. Ultimately, this is what we're building here, and really excited about it. Next one. So just stepping back just a little bit, what we're talking about here, construction manager at risk. Essentially, they're the general contractor for the entire project, right? I think most of you are familiar with this, and having so recently gone through the soccer project will be pretty familiar, but just wanted to make sure we kind of start at the beginning here. They're going to be responsible for selection of the subcontractors. That selection has not occurred yet. But ultimately they'll be the ones making those selections. They have some requirements that we're going to hold them to, just like we did with the architect of record. But ultimately it'll be them picking them as well. So on to the next one. Here's just a look at our selection timeline. So this started way back in May when we released our RFP for people for CM groups to be able to go on our website and actually respond. Those responses were due by July 7th. So I think the procurement code allows for a 14-day window. We felt like we wanted to go significantly longer than that. And it was a big lift by these companies to be able to come in and provide all the information. We then had some in-person interviews on the 19th and 20th of July. Again, those were really in-depth, really kind of fun, interesting things, learning about that process, learning about how they were going to build out their teams, learning about the timing process and everything else. After those interviews, we reconvened with the evaluation committee. We got feedback. We pulled in all of their other feedback. We spent a few days balancing it. We had some really impressive groups go through the process and ultimately landed on a decision which we're presenting to you here today. So on to the next one. So Tennessee Builders Association. We're really excited about this group. It's a joint venture between 4 construction companies, Turner, Acom Hunt, ICF, and Polk & Associates. We'll get into a little bit more on why we chose this group, but I think as much as anything, they listened to us during the process. They listened to what was important to us. And of course, that was to build an incredible building, but it was also the way that they were going to build the building, the way that they were going to build out their teams. And so I think we're really excited to share some of that with you here today. So on to the next one. And here's, again, some of the highlights. Their incredible history in building NFL stadiums. There'll be a slide, I think it's the next one, that shows a map of actually, thank you, of east of the Mississippi. This is actually, we stole this one from them. They said this is every building, every NFL facility east of the Mississippi that this team has worked on, whether in a renovation or a new build. And they were missing one logo on this map, and I bet you all can guess which one it is. It sits in the middle of Tennessee, and so they were really excited to try to finish their puzzle, if you will. But obviously really impressive, extraordinarily experienced in building facilities. If you go back one, actually. A few other points here. And again, as you guys know, and we've had Kellen up here talking about it just about every month, one of the things that has been absolutely critical for us from the beginning is leading a budget-driven process. And as part of that, we've been, we made sure that was clear in the RFP and the responses to, and spent a decent amount of time working through that. And they came in and proved to us that they could do this on budget. And that's important to all of us here, I think. Ultimately, this is your building. But as you guys know, that the team is responsible for the overages in the construction process. So we were particularly interested in that. And they put together a really compelling case to being able to get to on budget and on time during the construction. So thrilled with that. Again, one of the things that we spent a lot of time with, we were very intentional in our RFP requests, as well as the amount of time that we spent in the in-person interviews, was hearing about their DBE and inclusion plans. And Don's going to kind of go through that in a lot of detail here in a second, but we're really impressed with the plan that they put forth, the people that they're going to be waking up every morning thinking about this. So we're really excited. I think we can go 2 slides forward. We hit the map. I'll throw it over to Don.
Thank you, Dan. Hello again. On another matter, I thought it would be important to mention some of the process we had to really make sure that we were communicating with what we wanted these firms to get back with us on. We expect, and so I'll talk a bit from the RFP. We expect that at a minimum, the proposer's comprehensive DEI plan, diversity, equity, and inclusion, will articulate the following parameters for goal setting. Diversity, equity, and inclusion on the core construction management team. Clearly explain how your DEI teammates will be utilized and compensated. Include in your plan ample outreach activities and opportunities for your construction management team to be accessible to those who are interested in doing business and working on the project, similar to what Mr. Gill is talking about. Explain the methods of public notification to inform the community about opportunities. Robust construction, installation, supplier participation for small minority women-owned business enterprises. Define goals for each of the business enterprise groups. And finally, measurable participation for local, small minority and women-owned businesses. This is what we ask of the teams. We felt strong about TBA's response. They had a robust DB plan, and actually we considered a roadmap to inclusion. Of course, you've heard the names ICF Builders and Polk & Associates. A bit about those two firms. ICF Builders started back in the 80s, early 80s, with Roger Ligon leading the way, and he's done a lot of work over the years. And just like we all want to see is that generation passed down to the next guy. So Roger Ligon Jr. is now going to take over that group. I watched that firm grow in a lot of different ways. In fact, they were one of the partners on the National Museum of African American Music. It probably doesn't get sung enough. They're not a firm that really markets themselves really loudly, but they've done a lot of work. Polk & Associates, younger firm, very energetic, led by Reggie Polk. He's a rising star, as everybody said. They've done a lot of work. They have about 19 people. They've done work with Trader Joe's. They built Trader Joe's in other cities. In fact, they're going to build one in Harlem, New York. So they're growing a good reach. So we feel really good about those two firms.
2 fun facts. ICF actually participated in the building of current Nissan Stadium. So they had a small part of building some of the doors. So we're excited to see that grow and have them have a bigger impact in the next building. And then Polk & Associates, we have another construction project, a smaller one that we're working on, and they're actually going to be the lead on that project too. So we're excited to get them both more involved in a bunch of different projects.
Right.
Would you repeat what you said about ICF's work on the current stadium?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What did you say they did?
Kellen, you know, it's
Doors, frames, and hardware.
door frames and hardware.
Way back when. The other contents of their plan included outreach through various channels: the Tennessee Tribune, La Noticia, The Scene, The Pride, The Post, Urbanite, online publication, La Campagna, The Tennessean, of course, Who Can Beat the Nashville Business Journal, getting out any information. So, and also they'll work with the Business Assistance Office with Metro, several chambers of commerce. There's several of them that helps us be all inclusive. Part of their outreach also will be open house meetings to kicks off the project with all their stakeholders to introduce their team. We hope that happens early in the fall. The Titans, NBIC, and Don Harden Group starts a series called the Master Class over four series. It'll talk about obtaining capital, surety bonds, mentorship, and skilled workforce. And the first one of that actually starts today. I mention that because TBA will also pick up the ball with their own series of events beginning this fall with workshops where they will actually set up certification applications and try to encourage some of the DBEs to submit their certification at that moment, at that time. So they'll do that on site. So they're coming up with creative things. And finally, on their website will kind of take over what the Titans have already started as far as outreach. We've received probably 200 interested parties of different, not just construction, but of all different types. And we try to reach out and try to see where we can plug them in on anything, whether it's being a vendor to the current Titans organization or potentially aligning them with TBA. But TBA will take over their website, and it'll be their own project website coming soon. And then finally, another thing that's important is the structure of their procurement. They will procure DBE based on every trade that goes out. In other words, beginning with site work, there's opportunity in every trade. So we're taking the approach that even in things you might think that DBEs aren't capable of doing, like curtain wall or escalators and such, there are ways that we can involve DBEs at every stage of the project. And I also wanted to mention, I think I did mention that right now we have about 25 construction-related firms that we're reaching out to that are DBEs. And what we're doing with them is once they sign an NDA, they give us their DB certification. They sign an NDA, and then we submit the latest drawings to them directly. They have a chance to review these plans early and often. This is one of the complaints as a contractor myself, is that we often get the call when it's 2 or 3 weeks before bid time, and we have no time, no capacity, emails to really dig through that. So we thought, why not give these guys the drawings early? So it's several months early that they can review these drawings, they can ask questions, we can align them with the architects and get their questions answered. It puts them in a position to price the project as a prime contractor or a subcontractor to a larger firm. So those are the kind of things we've been trying to do on this project. Take the next slide, please.
Yeah, and then this just kind of walks through the process here and the next step. So top one is today. So we're asking for your approval of TBA as CMAR. Just the next one there is really just an update and I think we've been up here the last couple months and let you know that we're having some preliminary construction activities, mostly related to utilities that need to be relocated on the site. And so that's ongoing. It's going pretty smoothly, right, Colin?
Yes, correct. We actually, we've been working on the sewer main, as we've been talking about. That's been going for the past 3 to 4 months, and Piedmont Gas will be starting to realign their pipe around the west side of Nissan Stadium in about a month.
And then, if we do get your approval today, we'll go back to work with the contract with TBA and with the goal of getting that in front of you in the October meeting. I think I'd love to get it to you next month, but just want to make sure that you have enough time to see it. Want to make sure we have enough time to work through it. So we think kind of realistically the October timeframe is probably when to expect it. And then the last one there, just, we're still kind of figuring out when the actual groundbreaking will be, but we're targeting early to mid 2024. So it's just around the corner.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have some questions. First question is, how many construction firms did you interview?
There are 2.
Only 2? How did the other firm compare to the firm that you selected, TBA? How close were they in terms of meeting all the qualifications?
I think they were a really impressive group as well. We took a number of factors into consideration and ultimately picked TVA. But they were a really impressive group. A nationwide builder, had experience in the NFL space as well.
Looking at the map that you mentioned a short while ago, and also looking at the RFP, you guys requested references from those other stadiums or sports facilities. Did you get references from the other sports facilities?
Yes, we got numerous for every person that went in.
Also, after receiving the information from Monica, I went online. It's difficult to find out how well a firm has done on a construction project. I just couldn't find out. Buffalo Bills, as an example. Who is the contractor? Who is the construction manager at risk for the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I believe it's a joint venture.
And who was it?
Dylan, do you know the exact party?
Gilbane and Turner.
And Turner? And that project is $300 million over budget already?
That's what's been reported. Okay. I think we've all been in environments where reporting is not always accurate, but that was a news story that was released recently.
Released back in March?
I think the news story came out within the last 10 days or something. That's what I saw, at least.
And I think what it was doing was repeating what was out in March. Allegiant Stadium, what company constructed Allegiant Stadium?
That was Mortensen and McCarthy.
Okay, and as I understand it, that project came in on time. It was a little over budget, but it came in on time, and as I understand it, the budget overrun was considered reasonable. The SoFi Stadium, who constructed SoFi Stadium?
That would be Turner and AECom Hunt were partnered.
And that project was $2.5 million over budget. Is that correct?
I think it was more than that.
More than that?
More than million. Yeah, I think it was
2.5.
That was a privately funded project, so we don't really have the details on it. And I think with all these, there's circumstances that go into why things happen one way or the other.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Who was the contractor for that?
That was Hunt and Holder.
Are they a member? Either one of those
yes,
members of the team?
Hunt is part of the TVA team.
And they are $5 million over budget.
It's good.
On that stadium.
I'm not sure.
Director Gill, is there a question?
Yes, the question is, in your selection, did you consider cost overruns? Because we have a $2.1 billion project. And in 30 years, if we have overruns, we could very well have a reduced quality construction. That was one of the presentations that we received early on from the Titans, stating what the quality of the existing stadium is, what the faults were with the structure, those kinds of things. If we end up in cost overruns with that, we could end up having the same presentation made 25 years from now. Did you guys consider these overruns?
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I think it's a really valid concern of not wanting to cost engineer, if you will.
I'm sorry?
I said I think it's a very valid concern. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier on, but we did. It was a really critical part of this process was the budget. And so we got in the weeds with them on that, and we have for months, frankly, and beating up their numbers and making sure we were aligned on where we think we could land. And they brought us some really great information. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's our promise, right? And we're responsible for those cost overages in this matter. And if we're part of the contract process is we're bringing you a design of the building at some point when it's baked enough. And if we have to deviate from that design in a way that would be an issue to save money, we need your approval to do so. So you'll have the votes and accessibility to that. We hope not to. We're not planning on that. at all. But just want you to know the process in the agreement itself. But Melvin, I assure you that we were very thorough as much as we could be, because we're losing sleep over that possibility as well. But I think we've been very thorough in the process. And again, there's things that happen that are out of everyone's control. But at the end of the day, this guy wakes up and thinks about budget every single day. And we're very focused on it.
I looked at the RFP, and what I looked for in the evaluation criteria was some type of numerical value for each of the criterions. I didn't see any. It was we will be looking for X and not limited to that. It was like the sky's the limit. So how could you compare both firms when there was no precise way of comparing the information that you received from?
I guess are you talking about like each individual subcategory and the cost of
for the
it?
evaluation criteria, where
You talk about scoring, a point scoring system.
So,
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
You're referring to a point score.
Yes. And
I think I'll let Kellen answer that, but I think the intent was to not use a scoring system. I mean, there was another way to do it.
I would say that we wanted to take a best value approach. I think we've seen in the past that assigning certain point category or point totals to certain categories is just not a well-rounded approach to making sure you're getting the best partner. We're committed to having the best partner overall on the project. So we just took all of these categories that you are referencing that were in the RFP and weighed them all together. And again, obviously with the input from our evaluation committee as well.
So what happens is then the firms that are submitting, the two firms that you interviewed or submitted for the project, may have been putting down different information based on what the criteria was, because the sky was the limit in terms of what you would consider. And that does not seem to support fair and equitable selection process, where I'm concerned. Also, I did not see in the RFP a means by which a firm could protest. Why was that not in there?
I would say on the first point that I do think that we included some criteria and things that we were looking for in the RFP, and I think that when we actually received them back, that they were actually pretty comparable things that we were comparing against each other. So I guess I'm not entirely sure what you're asking on that point, and so I don't know if there's any way you can clarify it.
I think he wants to make a comment.
Please state your name and your role.
Thank you. John Cooper with Holland and Knight, representing the Titans. In response to Director Gill's questions about the scoring, this was a much debated and discussed topic by the team, and it was determined, one, the procurement code does not require scoring. That is, you have to do an RFP for construction manager at risk, but the selection is not specified. Two, this is not like you're building a standard building where you have a lot of comparables and you can assign kind of subjective criteria to each category. I mean, this is a one-of-a-kind building in the world. And so it was determined that the team concept of the partner that's coming in as the CMAR is what was most, I mean, that's what resonated. And so I participated in all of the evaluation committee meetings, and I'm confident that the process they followed is consistent with the Metro Procurement Code.
Thank you. Any questions? Director Hogan, you had one question.
Go ahead.
We'll come back, Melvin.
Okay.
I just want to allow Director Hogan. He's been holding for a minute.
That's fine. Thank you. You guys have the misfortune of following the construction of Geodis. and they had an absolutely stellar safety record. You know, I think we had, one broken finger in that entire time. I'm curious as to what part of the evaluation process for these 4 firms did safety come into play? What's the process to develop a safety plan? And this is sort of an ignorant question, but forgive me. Is there any contingency in contracting when safety records get out of whack? Is there a way to, to tie that to financial performance?
Yeah, so we basically asked of all of the firms responding to get their safety records, their EMR ratings. They were all they're very high standing in the industry. And I guess to answer your question about the cost contingency, I think there are some things that we can do with financial holdbacks or retainage that we can focus on making sure that the proper safety requirements are being met. I say also just another measure that we're putting in place. We are also working with Gallagher on our insurance for the project. So we're also going to have some discussions with them about having on-site medics, on-site safety, additional safety superintendents and folks walking the project. So it's a big focus and emphasis for us.
This may already be part of the plan, but speaking for myself, it would be very important for me to hear monthly as you guys update us on the process as to where the safety record is. I think that this group is equally as concerned with the financial and the people cost of a major project. So.
Yes, again, having been involved with Geodis, so I'm definitely excited to do the same thing and report hours worked on the job. And again, a successful job is one that everyone goes home safe.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Director Gills, final question.
Yes. In the selection process, it's my understanding that you were on the selection committee. And I'd like to know if you think your relationships with some of the individuals who are on the team may have influenced your choice of construction manager at risk. Now, you, Kellen, worked for Geodis, and what was the construction company there?
So that was the Mortensen Messer team with Pinnacle as a partner.
And any of the other individuals that are with TBA, were they on Geodis? Did they work on Geodis?
Not to my direct knowledge. I know that Polk and Associates had some small involvement on the project, but I did not interface with them.
Okay. And what about you, Don?
I have relationships with everybody on both teams. So for me, it was whoever had the best response. We knew that we had to work, whoever one was going to work with. From my perspective and my job, whoever won, we're going to have a focus on diversity. And that's kind of how it was. So it was nothing personal at all. But I definitely have relationships with folks on both sides.
Did you guys have an opportunity to have someone else on the selection committee that would not give this appearance of impropriety in terms of the selection process?
I think, we had folks from the BAO office, Mark Sturvant, we had.
Monica. Monica, you represented us on that committee, right? Yes.
And I'm not certain that they, it's my understanding that the selection committee made the selection with the involvement of what was it called, stakeholders or something like that.
That's right. I mean, I would say that, and this is outlined in the agreements as well, is that ultimately it's the Titans. So it's Kellen and I, at the end of the day, we're making the selection with the input of the evaluation committee, of which Don was on, of which Monica was on as well. So anyone outside the organization.
Okay. Also, I noticed in the RFP, that was a requirement for bonding insurance. It says to provide evidence of capacity to provide bonding and a copy of your firm's certificate of insurance showing your firm's current limits of liability for commercial, general liability, workman's compensation, and employer's liability, business, automobile, what have you. Were the two
joint venture partners.
Yeah, the two minor joint venture partners.
Yes,
They provide that.
we're proud to say that they make up 5%, bondable 5%. We actually have documentation that they will be able to bond some $80 million, which has not ever been done in Nashville for a minority company to bond that much. That's why we're excited about the 5%, the true joint venture, 5% that this group represents.
You received a letter from their surety that,
That's correct.
okay. So they did not have to have a, what did you have in here? Parental guarantee? They did not have to have that?
That is correct. We do not have a parental guarantee.
For now, Madam Chair, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you all for that discussion. So at this time, the same conditions apply to the vote in terms of unreasonably withholding, delaying, or condition approval. So I will entertain a motion to approve authorizing and approving Tennessee Builders as the construction manager at risk for the new NFL stadium. Is there any other discussion or additional questions?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. And thank you.
Appreciate
And
it.
I personally want to thank you all because I've been here for quite a while, and there were times when we said we could not find those small businesses and minority businesses to participate. And the fact that you reached out and been very intentional in your approach is very much appreciated. So
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. At this time, we usually open the floor for questions from the board for any of our facility managers, team executives to share with us. And I would like to invite someone from the Sounds to come up and share with us. You had an opportunity to serve our community in a unique way this week, and we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Doug Scopel, Vice President of Operations for the Sounds at First Horizon Park. As many in this room know, Father Charles Strobel, who was decades of service to Nashville, passed away recently, touched a lot of Nashvillians, had a lot of love for Nashville. He also had a lot of love for the game of baseball. And after his unfortunate passing, someone reached out to us to see how we could participate in his memorial service. And so we hosted that at our ballpark on Friday. A few people in this room, I believe, were there. It was a rainy week last week, but somehow Friday was a beautiful sunny day. I think Father had a little bit to do with that, but it was nice to open our doors to honor him in a place that he loved to be around the game of baseball. And it was nice to see hundreds, if not thousands, of folks from Nashville come out and show love back to him.
Any comments from the board? Yes.
I was there, and it was just exceedingly well done by you guys. And it was a beautiful ceremony, a wonderful tribute, and I was very grateful to have the opportunity to tie one of his favorite things into his memorial service. That was really great.
We were honored to do that. You know, you never want to be in a spot like that, but when you have a chance to do it, you know, you make the best of it. So,
Well, thank you for that.
Well, you made us proud, so we just want to say thank you for being such a good community partner. And
Happy to do it.
he was well loved in this community, so thank you. And finally, we have the Ford Ice Center report. So we're going to invite the team up to report. Yay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and your role.
Paula Trujillo. And Kristen Bonus.
Morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So I am the Director of Amateur Hockey and Fan Development here at the Nashville Predators, and our designated hype woman, Paula, is the Director of Figure Skating in our Scott Henson Academy. We do the presentation. Okay. So as I said, I am the Director of Amateur Hockey. This is just some examples of our programming along with our summer camps. We just have a lot of girls programming and then our Ped Select program as well. So this is our hockey pathways, essentially. So it starts with all of our grassroots programming, or the top 3 in our rookie division. That just gets the kids ready to join into our rec league, which is our in-house programming here, our youth league. This is our second year for our middle school program, so we're moving more into a scholastic brand with our JV and varsity hockey as well. Moving into our all-star and competitive travel play, which is our single A through AAA travel programming. So we just wanted to highlight some of the fun stuff we were able to do this year. This was something very new for us and also for me. I learned a lot about online gaming. Leading up into the draft, we had an online competition, essentially so that someone could represent the Predators during the draft, and all 32 teams were able to compete. Our winner, unfortunately, did not make it to the top 10, but he was a great representation of our brand. And this is probably one of my favorite programs. It's definitely our core program for creating opportunities for racial equality. So it is a free program for children to participate in. Those who are new to hockey, want to give it a try, and just kind of creates that welcoming environment for children who also just want to play hockey. So we have our breakdown listed there below. They're given dinner after every program. They're allowed to go attend games. We gave them tickets to the draft, and then also provide scholarships for continued programming if they choose to do so. Little video for you.
Equitable access for our teammates, our customers, and our communities. And sports is absolutely part of our communities. That's why we're so excited to kick off another year of the core program. Training athletes on and off the ice is what really matters.
We traditionally don't see a lot of us as Black people on the ice, and we really appreciate the opportunity to have our boys get introduced to a sport they might not have otherwise been introduced to.
For the younger generation to say, hey, you should be able to do anything and everything that you want, no matter what you look like, where you come from, how you sound, how you speak. It doesn't matter. We're all part of this, and we want you to be a part of it. So for me, my kids having the opportunity to be able to do that means so much.
It's your first time trying it, and you're like really scared. I don't know how to do this, and then you get the hang of it, and suddenly it starts to pick up, and you realize you're good at it.
I think every parent should be proud that your kid is able to do things that you can't imagine.
Honestly, it's been 10 times more than we ever expected it to be. They've included us in a lot of the things that the Predators do. They've introduced our kids to so many new opportunities, so many new things that we never thought were possible. And it's showing them that, you know what, if they open their eyes and try new things, they can open up a whole world of new experiences that they never would have ever had.
So we are leading into our 4th season of CORE. It's definitely something that we're going to continue on with the Bridgestone partnership. And with that, we also invited the children to attend. We had the top 6 prospects for the NHL draft, along with the Player Inclusion Coalition. They were able to join us over on the ice in addition to our girls programming. And we also launched the PIC2 right in this very room. So that was a really exciting opportunity to be a part of. Essentially, it's 20 athletes who are just trying to grow the game, create different opportunities, and we were also lucky enough to receive a $10,000 grant to continue our core program from them as well. So we actually have another video for you of that one. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yellow girls, you got to take it out.
It was challenging at times to find role models in the game of hockey, especially the number of players I just would idolize or look up to or be a fan of. And I think it'll be really important to be able to leverage the players' experience as we continue to help assist and create a positive impact in the game of hockey. To have young, diverse youth on the ice, it's so important for them to see the females in the game, to see the BIPOC individual game, but also see the Fantillis and the Smiths and the Bedards as well, because it's important for them to see the allyship that's important. That is what a true diverse community looks like. it's also important to have these young boys and girls see people look like themselves too. To say, hey, you know, Anderson Carter, he played the National Hockey Team. He looks like me. Why not try to spark that interest in these boys and girls?
You know, for all you kids out there, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something because you can do anything you want. That's facts.
We are very excited to celebrate the launch of the NHL Player Inclusion Coalition. Look at this great group behind me. We barely fit on the stage. That's awesome.
I'm so proud to be standing here with my fellow members of the NHL Player Inclusion Coalition. When this group first started almost 3 years ago, it really represented a space for players to collaborate on ideas and strategies to accelerate inclusion within our game. Over time, those ideas and strategies grew into opportunities for us to take action together.
For the women's side, there were no people of color, especially on the U.S. women's national team. So I just kept playing and kept going, and all of a sudden someone's turning around saying, you're first.
Can't skater. And you go, oh my goodness, you're so fast.
And what do you do when you're first? You break a barrier, you try to make it easier for the path behind you, and I think that's just what the PSC wants to do.
The NHL and the NHLPA are proud to show our support with an initial seed funding of $1 million to develop and execute action plans to grow the game that we all love.
Our group wants to present the Nashville Predators core program, one of our grants, for $10,000.
Wow. You have individuals like everyone you saw on stage that are focused on trying to make the game a better place. A lot of powerful things can happen.
What you couldn't see in that video is George the Rock had to borrow some of our rental skates, which was pretty entertaining to watch. And we're also going to partner with the PIC this coming season for a character development program that we're going to partner with the Junior Preds and our Pred Select program too. Again, just a character development, so it's going to be really great to be a part of. Girls hockey is also going to be a huge initiative for us. It was last year and will continue to do so. These are just some of the events that we were able to host, thankful to the Industry Growth Fund from the league. And so we had our Preds Girls Classic, which for the first 2 years was completely free for teams to participate in. So usually registration fees are about $1,600. So we were able to provide it for free. And then we also had a big focus on mental health and anti-bullying because we had one of the teams present who actually lost one of their players due to suicide. So we wanted to make a big push for that. Our Girls Hockey Day is just a celebration of all things girls hockey. So we held that at Bridgestone Arena. It was a full day of jam-packed programming kind of for every aspect of the game. And we also had an Olympic medalist there as well with Megan Bozak. We're providing our Learn to Play and our predecessor programming for girls only just to create that safe and welcome environment. And again, we'll do the same for women this coming season too. Disabled programming is also going to be a big effort for us this year. We have partnerships with the Sled Preds and the Junior Sled Preds, the American Special Hockey Association. They'll be here in October. Just last week, we hosted the development camp for the blind hockey group for USA Hockey. So essentially, they are competing to join the Paralympic team. And then them, along with Team Canada, will be here for an international series in October. And we also have a partnership with Selvin Element, which is for our warrior hockey programs. So that's actually picture of our captain, Roman Yossi, trying sled, and those kids were very excited to be able to coach him on the ice. It was cool to watch. And last, these are just some examples of the tournaments that we run internally. Listed on there is our turkey tourney, which was unfortunately canceled because of the flood that we experienced around Thanksgiving. But these are just additional programming that we will continue on for next year.
That's awesome. Sparkle time. I'll just wait till it comes up. I just wanted to focus a little bit on, there we are. We really kind of just leaned into where our community was this year, and we just really wanted to find something for everybody and make sure that we continued some programs that were no longer funded, but we still have all those athletes in our facility. And I'm actually certain that a couple of them that skating is incredibly difficult financially for them. We've made it continue to be possible for them, even though we no longer have funding for it. They're still in our facilities. And I think pretty soon they're going to be employees. Like, they're just awesome. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. It always just started with our mission, and our mission is to make skating available to people of all ages, ability, and description, and at the same time create a really fun learning environment. We can go to the next one. And I only highlighted at the bottom that dedication to always be present and to put forth our best while actively participating in our community partnerships and philanthropic activities. And to provide, oh, that's perfect, we're good. Let's roll, rolling. Okay, so this is where we were really meeting our community this year. Our Scots All-Stars kind of took a hit during COVID because a lot of them had underlying medical issues. So we spent the entire year bringing back that program all the way up to snuff. We had a sold-out summer camp with 14 athletes in it, and that's one-on-one per coach. So it was really amazing, and we had a great time. Our adults really spoke to us. We reached out and asked what they wanted from us. That was another, like, post-COVID. During COVID, they just started coming and skating, and they had all this time on their hands. And now they're staying, and they want more and more and more. And then to the right of the screen, two really big initiatives for us this year was really supporting one of our coaches that has been with us since day one, that during the last 3 years got her master's in sports psychology. And she's really been helpful to all of our athletes in every way. And she helped create Camp Ultraviolet, which is a camp for girls aged 7 through 13. We're really just giving them all the tools necessary to be successful. Skating is just a minor little part of it. It's just the backdrop of it. It's really about, it encompasses everything on giving them all these tools to be successful in life. So we're really obsessed with that one. And then the Go Skate and the Grades and Blades, there's still programs that we no longer have funding for them, but we continue to support all these athletes and in our programs, they're still there. And then the next one is a little bit of boy skating, and then our synchro team. We're really trying to build that one up as well. Next slide. That is our mission for Camp Ultraviolet, and that one is it's really growing a lot. It's worth giving that one a good read. Okay. Next, there's a little more Camp Ultraviolet. There's a lot of sparkle. I'm telling you. And our very own Michelle Kennedy came and told her girl boss story about being from a very small town and never give up on anything that you want to accomplish in life, you can accomplish. And she was like, well received. It was amazing. Oh, also, I think to note at Camp Ultraviolet, we did sponsor 10 athletes from the Covenant School. We just reached out and we overrode all that. And we made sure that they had a really safe place to come and feel welcome in our facility. They came in, they checked it out. They were like the first ones to find their evacuation routes. And we reassured them, and everybody was like super awesome, kind of embraced them the whole week. So we're really, really proud of that. Thank you. We started the Golden Hearts Club this year. I'll just really touch on this one quickly. That's just to really help Scott Hamilton's CARES Foundation. Over the last 9 years, I've been here since day one, it was really about our upper athletes they were peer fundraising. This past year, we decided to go all the way down to our Learn to Skate athletes. And I'm really proud to say that they raised $18,000 in like 3 months. And they had some fun perks along the way. And they got to hang out with Scott Hamilton and all his Olympic friends for an entire day. So that was really fun. And we're going to do that again. Yeah. Okay. We did also do another, that's my daughter's legs, by the way. They came in handy during the pandemic when we had to do 6 feet apart. I just had a big arrow there, and it was very useful. We did also do for the Covenant families. We held a free exhibition. All of our athletes came together, and the community came and bought tickets, and all the funds went to the Covenant School as well. And that's our adult programming. It's really fun. They're coming alive. And then that led into what more did they want? We can go to the next slide. That ended in a summer, it's over Memorial Weekend, 89 campers. That was our biggest one yet. It was sold out. Whew. I was back to my original birth weight, 8 pounds, 10 ounces when that one was over. It was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And that's just all the things that we're diving into this year, we're building up our synchro team, building up our baby competitors. My new favorite one is kind of what I got to get with J-Bo. It's Nash's crib, just really getting with our little teeny tiny humans and getting them on the ice, like giving them a Zamboni, like they can stand on a little bucket and get a Zamboni honk. I just want to kind of have some fun with that one. And then always growing hockey for sure. You're welcome. And I don't know, I'm just really big in the fortune is in the follow-up. So I really try to communicate really every day, every week. I sit in the lobby with families, helping them navigate our sport in any way I can. Help them, I call them Scott Bucks instead of Starbucks, helping them spend their money wisely and helping them identify really good paths, walking them over to our hockey department. It's probably the only rink, I've been doing this, I'm pretty old, by the way. I've been doing this so long, but I've never been in a facility where it's such a great connection between every department and making sure that we are meeting our guests where they're at and helping them navigate this really cool sport. So thank you for your time and have a great day.
Awesome.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes. Yeah.
How many 1-year-olds do you have?
Oh my gosh, we call those cats in a bathtub. That is so hard. We've had some cats in the bathtub. No, we've had 1-year-olds. When they're coming and their siblings are out there, I'll take them for a spin around the ice. And then I also, every now and then we have those little buckets. I put them in a little bucket and I just let them go around the ice, like they float around the ice and they get to go see and then one day I have them wear their skates out in the lobby, just put a pair of skates on, walk around every time you come here. And before you know it, when they're like 1.5, 2, I've had some. And they just jump right in. As long as they're not oh, never mind. We won't go there.
There's no fear.
Yeah, no fear. No fear. I was going to say we've had some little accidents on the ice, but.
Okay,
well taken.
Madam Chair, I just want to make a couple of quick comments. First of all, to Sean and to Michelle and to you, Paula, and to everybody involved with Bellevue Ice Center. I can sit here and tell you, I live in this community. I grew up in this community. And the investment that the Predators have made and Fort Ice Bellevue in this community has been immeasurable. And it's like we're going through these slides and I see people that I know, I see people that those were my friends' kids. And it's not just me. My own son plays hockey and has been here and has been involved in every league. I've played hockey here. And Paula, you may not know me, but regardless, I see you here. And your energy is infectious in this building. So I would just say, as a citizen of not just this community, 37221, but also as a citizen of Nashville, Davidson County, because your outreach is so much further than that. But I just thank you for that. I thank you for the investment. It's immeasurable, like I said, and the impact that you're making on the folks in this community is really incredible. And you're a very valuable asset and one of the most valuable assets that this community has seen in a very long time. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you on behalf of the entire organization.
And are there other comments? I'd just like to say, I mentioned earlier that 2019 was the last time we were here. And the one thing that I remember was that the energy was so high. And it's amazing that you would mention that because it's still very high. We've been away, but clearly, you guys have been really, really busy. I'm just amazed at all the programming, from the core program to the girls hockey to the disabled hockey. I just think it's huge. And then there's the diversity. Just all the work that's gone into it. I'm just super proud to be a partner. And I congratulate you on all of your accomplishments. So thank you. We're very proud of the work that you do. So
thank you. It's a great team.
Yes. Okay, so if there are no other questions or comments, this concludes our agenda. I'd like to thank the Predators and Fort Ice for hosting us this morning. Thank our boards, Sports Authority staff, Metro Legal, and Metro Finance and our facility and team representatives for your input today. The next full board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 21st at Nissan Stadium. The Finance Committee will meet prior to the full board meeting, and we also expect that there will be a Personnel Committee meeting between now and then. Staff will reach out to both committees to confirm those dates. So if there are no other comments, questions, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.